Welcome to the movies, pal. Your friendly neighborhood master Chaos back with you once again. It's still Hammer Halloween, and I've got a nice, juicy, bloody monster film just for you. Grab a seat, like I say all the time. You have a seat saved here specifically just for your keister. And I know the kind of firmness, and support that your keister needs, because I know that much about you. I take the time to learn all about your keister to provide you with the most comfortable seat possible. But now that we're done talking about your rear end, let's talk Hammer horror, and in this case, let's talk vampire kisses. Dracula's a real pain in the neck, and I promised myself when I deep dive into Hammer that I wasn't going to do any Dracula Frankenstein movies, but I have to touch on the monster that I think features the most in a Hammer horror film, and that would be the vampire. With our film, Kiss of the Vampire. This is found on the Hammer 8 film collection. I believe this was a Universal release, that is correct, from a while back. The film Kiss of the Vampire is one that I owned on DVD, and I was very happy to own this on DVD. So I remember it quite well, but I hadn't seen it restored. There's a disc, by the way. Hadn't seen it restored on Blu-ray. Hadn't seen it upgraded. It's been a while since I'd seen it, actually, similar to Plague of the Zombies. But I remember being very good. And on my rewatch, well, I discovered it's still a very good movie, but not as good as memory serves me.
What? No.
Kiss of the Vampire is essentially the age-old story, something we've seen hundreds of times before. A young couple on a trip across the countryside run out of gas, the car stalls out, they have to stop somewhere for the night. They end up in this small town, which, unbeknownst to them, is beleaguered by vampires. Now, we don't really know that it's vampires, but we do have an opening scene that hints towards something happening from beyond the grave. There's a coffin that gets filled with blood. It's a pretty creepy image. It's a really strong start to the movie. The main problem with the film, though, is that it decides to slow down considerably, and that is the main failing with the film. Now, our young couple shows up at this inn, and they say, we ran out of gas, can we spend the night? They spend the night, everything's kind of weird, the innkeepers are very strange, and they get invited to dinner to the house of the local lord, who says, come on over, the food's better over here than at that hotel. The young man brings his wife, they meet the count, they meet the count's family. We know that these are the vampires, we just know. We don't see fangs yet or anything like that, but you know this. Then the movie decides to hit the snooze button, for lack of a better word. Now, I will say the movie is an hour and 28 minutes, and it doesn't really hit the ground running until 50 minutes in. And that's kind of the bad news, because with these movies, and I think specifically this movie, pacing is an issue. I think Hammer, a lot of people are turned off by Hammer because of their slower pace. A lot of them, most of the criticism I hear of Hammer is that the films are a little boring, and I get that. Kiss of the Vampire, however, is an excellent film, but you wouldn't know it if you didn't stick with it, because at the 50-minute mark, the movie hits the ground running and doesn't stop.
You're goddamn right.
Do you know what Kiss of the Vampire is? It's Fright Night. It's Lost Boys. This movie is the template for all the vampire movies that are considered masterpieces. Of course, Kiss of the Vampire is sort of forgotten now, but it is almost, I'm not going to say beat for beat Fright Night, but certainly after that 50-minute mark, it really does hits that groove of Fright Night. Like almost like Tom Holland watched Kiss of the Vampire and said, I'm going to do that, but with a rear window twist.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
Now, I don't want to go too deeply into the story, but I want to tell you what happens at the 50-minute mark. They're invited to a party, which, unbeknownst to them, is full of vampires. The wife is taken, seduced, and stolen away. The husband wakes up from a drunken stupor, and they tell him, you don't have a wife. You're crazy. What are you talking about? He knows he has a wife. He knows something's going on. Now, at the inn he's staying at, there's an old man who we've seen in the beginning is essentially a vampire hunter. He believes the young man, and he helps the young man to at least attempt to rescue his wife. So I would say the last third of the movie is the raid on the castle of the Count to try to rescue the wife back and fight the vampires away. Now, the other downside that this movie has, and it doesn't necessarily prevent me from recommending it, is the denouement. The way the film is solved is a little lame. It's a little stupid. It's a little easy. It's not great. It doesn't make a lot of sense either. I'm not going to say what it is. Don't worry, no spoilers. This could have had a really badass finale, but it doesn't. It really kind of fumbles, and it goes in a weird black magic direction that just really doesn't track with the rest of the movie. That being said, that doesn't prevent me from recommending the movie to you. And I know that sounds strange. I'm going to go with 3 stars for Kiss of the Vampire. 3 stars. Mainly, it loses a star because it really takes too long to get going. That should have been compacted. I feel 50 minutes for us to really get going on this plot is a little too long for a less than 90-minute movie. Also, the ending is kind of lame and doesn't really make any sense. I'm not going to say anything, but in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't really make any sense that that's how you solve that problem. But regardless, it's still a really good movie, and those elements, those negatives, don't take away from the intensity, the paranoia of the events that start at the 50-minute mark. And it's really, really good stuff. Like I said, it's that really intense stuff from Fright Night when Charlie's trying to get Amy back, and he teams up with Peter Vincent. Like, that kind of energy is in this movie, and I loved it. And the fact that we're watching a proto Fright Night, a proto Lost Boys, made it almost important, in the pantheon of horror cinema, vampire cinema. Brilliant performances and gorgeous color photography make the film a joy to watch as well. Just hang in there. When you watch it, just hang in there. I promise you it does get better. Kiss of the Vampire, have you seen it? Do you like it? Are you interested in seeing it now? Let me know in the comments. I'm always curious what you guys think. Like I say, two-way conversation here on Master Chaos Theater. Okay, my friend, before I close the theater down, if you're new here, do consider subscribing. If you do, you and I get to hang out again and talk movies, and I would consider that an honor and a pleasure to do so. Leave me a thumbs up on your way out the door. I'm going to grab the curtain, pull it across the silver screen here, and I'm going to bid you adieu. Happy Halloween, my friend. I love you very much. The theater's closed for now.